right, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. Yo, what's going on, family? Peace and love. I want to welcome everybody to another episode of a C.O.O.L podcast. I am your host, Juan Samir, along with your other host
Harry Leon.
and your other host.
Tiana Leon.
Today we have a very special guest on the show. Someone whose art is super creative, is super dope, very fresh. Somebody I've like probably watched like I want to say like maybe the past like 2 or 3 years now. I had an opportunity to be on her mentor program and briefly speak with her and just great conversation, super dope, intelligent, and Miss introducing Miss Elise Swopes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I was like smiling the whole time I'm watching you guys' intro. It's so cute. I loved it. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for supporting me and asking for me to even be on here. I really appreciate you guys. I'm excited to talk. I like to talk. So we're gonna talk about a lot of good stuff.
No problem. Go ahead, Elise. Introduce yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna break it down to you real quick. My last name is Swopes, and I know it's okay. We'll get there. But a lot of people know me from Chicago, and I am a photographer, graphic designer, public speaker, social media content creator. I also model sometimes, but my main priority is education. I do a lot of live hosting. I teach people how to shoot and edit with their iPhones or with their iPads. I'm very much a mobile creator, and that is my passion and my purpose, to show people you don't need a lot of equipment to get stuff done, which I come from quite a humble beginning. When I first started creating, I didn't have anything but an iPhone 4, and I was a dropout from college. I really didn't like being in the classroom. I don't know. My gut was just saying, like, let's not sit in a class. Let's go outside. Let's just get into trouble. Like, let's, I don't know, like do anything else. And it didn't make sense, obviously, to my parents, but, I had to struggle because of that. There wasn't a lot of support there. So I found this cracked phone that I got from like a little shop nearby in like the north side of Chicago. And then I just used that and I took photos with it. I would post to Instagram. Now, at first I was just posting like pictures of mac and cheese or like my food. I really liked mac and cheese. I still do. I'm a connoisseur of mac and cheese. And a lot of selfies too. I remember also it was one of my first years going to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And me and my friends, we drove all the way from Chicago to Austin. And that I remember posting, I think, one of my first posts was like a screenshot of the Google Maps or whatever. So it wasn't until I found like this group of people who were taking photos with their iPhone. It was a very small group of artists on Instagram, and there was this guy named Cole Rise who also he has an Instagram filter named after him. And so we would go to like, I don't know, photo meetups and different events and stuff like that, and getting to know people from all over the world, like virtually. I don't know, I guess we just kind of built something really special together. But for me, I wanted to do something a lot different than what everybody was doing. They were just, taking photos, which that was fine, taking photos. But I had a background in graphic design since I was like 9 or 10 years old. I actually owned my first website when I was 10 years old that taught other people how to design their own websites. So when I first opened up a bunch of different apps that I downloaded just to check out and see what they could do, there was this app called Art Studio. And Art Studio is kind of like a Photoshop where you can mask and layer and cut out and do a bunch of different stuff. And I still use that app to this day. This was in like 2010, 2011. And so just create it consistently, try to make my own kind of style, pave my own way in the most authentic way possible. And that meant like adding animals or clouds or different colors or different things that I just felt should be there for some reason. And so thus became, um, uh, I guess I started like adding giraffes in my art, which I'm pretty well known for. I actually just dropped a NFT collection on Nifty Gateway, which is if anyone has learned about crypto art, it's one of the top platforms to get accepted into or to even have a collection with. And we sold out completely in an hour. And that to me was pretty important because we also were donating 10% of all sales to giraffe conservation. And I ended up like producing this entire concept with partnering with a giraffe conservation in Kenya. We had a conversation with them live, and a bunch of other stuff through this like virtual gallery that I created as well. So just to wrap it all up, I do a lot of stuff, but I also have partnered with a lot of different brands from Adobe to Apple to Adidas. I've traveled to the Maldives with Will and Jada Pinkett Smith to take over Jada's Instagram. I've had dinner with Kanye West. Just a lot of weird, amazing, crazy stuff that I would never expect from an iPhone creation in the past or in one day. It's just nuts how all of this could come about.
Oh, that's dope. You guys got any questions for Miss Elise?
I have plenty of questions. So my first question is, I know you said that you traveled a lot.
Hmm.
What was like one of your favorite experiences as far as like traveling and working with different brands and companies?
I think my favorite experience about traveling would have to be getting to know how to travel. I think now I'm like really, really prepared and very organized when it comes to getting on a flight. When it comes to going anywhere, I'm checking the weather. I'm organized how much clothes I'm supposed to have. Beyond that, I mean, just like figuring out what I'm supposed to accomplish every day when I'm where I'm going. Um, and that all is because I have failed a ton while traveling to different places. I mean, I tweeted the other day about the fact that, like, I think one of the hardest part of creating a business is working for somebody else, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to send you somewhere for travel, but you don't have any money to put down for incidentals." And you get to the spot, and they're like, "Okay, hey, you got to put down money." You're like, "I don't have a credit card. I don't have any cash." You got to like call your parents, or you got to call a friend, or my boyfriend would borrow me a lot of money at the time. Like it was so helpful and so amazing, but like that's one of the struggles of coming up is like you just don't know until you know. And I think that
Right.
that's one of the most exciting things about traveling is just like experiencing like what is going on in the world and how things operate and realizing like nobody knows what's going on ever, but we're just trying.
Right. And that's good that you have that support system. Like, some people don't have people they can reach out to and be like, hey, like I need money for this. Like I'm trying to achieve my dreams, I need a little bit of
Absolutely.
help. But to have that support system is everything. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Of course. Yeah, it really is important for sure. I am somebody who definitely doesn't like to ask for a lot of help, especially now since I produce all my own stuff. I shoot all my own videos, shoot all my own photos, edit all my
Mhm.
video, do everything myself. It's like sometimes it's hard to allow people to help me, but I think at that time I was really, really grateful to have people who actually saw what I was trying to accomplish. Sometimes my mom would be like, "Nah, I'm not giving you anything." But thankfully, my boyfriend, he was doing well with his photography at the time. But there's been switch offs in our relationship where been hard for his business, and I've had to, excuse me, I've had to, help out. And so having a partnership like that, I think, has been really, really, really amazing.
We're gonna play one of our advertisements at this time. Episode is brought to you by Peerspace. Peerspace is a peer-to-peer marketplace for booking space for events, meetings, and productions. Launched in February of 2014, Peerspace is a privately owned company operating in the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. Go ahead, guys. You got any questions?
Yeah, I definitely got a question, man. I want to ask her about, or I want to ask you about the NFTs.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Really cool way of digital art and digital display. Um, can you break it down and like explain to the people what an NFT is because it's fairly new?
Yeah, of course. It's kind of crazy because being in the NFT community for about 8 months now, almost nine, it feels like it's been at like 10 years. Like it moves really, really quick. So it's kind of nuts to even be able to talk about it now. Because when I first got into it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so confused. But NFTs are non fungible tokens, and non fungible tokens are on this thing called the Ethereum blockchain. Now, the blockchain is this coding that's created on the internet, and it is run by cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency, as many people have found out over the years, is a digital asset, a digital type of currency that the people get to run, and um, there's no control by the government, although, once you take it out, of course, we're taxed on it now. So America's catching on, things are catching on. But to keep it short, NFTs can be music, they can be games, they can be graphic design, illustrations, photos, 3D designs, poetry. I mean, the list goes on. People are getting really, really creative, and you can also um, uh, create or add even like physical items to it. So if someone is trying to sell an NFT, which is really what everybody is doing, so they're either auctioning them off or you can buy it directly from an artist. But uh, some people add physical items. So a lot of sculpturists are NFT artists, a lot of painters are NFT artists. So it doesn't just limit to digital artists. You can get really creative with it. So um, I started in January and I got accepted into this platform called Super Rare. There are certain platforms that you can get accepted into that are more, so I guess, elite or more hard to get into than others. Like Nifty Gateway is one of the more difficult ones. Super Rare is more difficult. Foundation, you need an invite, which you can probably find through Twitter or something like that. And then there's other ones that are open, like OpenSea, Rareable, and then I think also Market Maker's Place is also curated. So those are just a few ones that you can look up into if you'd like to get involved. But some of them take applications. Some of them go through a process of being approved. So I was approved quite quick by Super Rare, quite early on before the wave in March happened, and got very, very lucky. In March, Beeple sold his $19 million, I think it was 19 million, $19 million NFT, and that really kind of set a lot of people off, like, oh my God, maybe I should buy art. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to get on top of it. So people were spending their crypto like crazy. And I was really grateful to be a part of that because I sold 5 pieces for like 87 Ethereum, which is almost about $250,000 collectively. So since then, I've invested in a ton of other artists' art, which I think is the most important part, and have just invested back in the community by creating my virtual gallery space, and trying to create also a decentralized I'm gonna just say a DAO. It is a different type of company under the Ethereum or DeFi blockchain where you can um, have a company that's run by the people, and people get digital returns or crypto returns, and when they invest in it. So that's another thing that I'm trying to learn about right now. Like I said, like a couple months ago, I had no idea what's going on. So I'm still every day is a learning process. There's no place to go to school for this stuff. Like I talked to my friend Steph the other day on the phone, and I was like, yo, like, how do people know these things? Like where is this information? How do I even know it? And he's like, you just see it on the internet. You read you read stuff in the news. You just see what people are writing up and talking about, and that's what's going on right now. So, and also the biggest thing with NFTs, you really have to be on Twitter. Twitter is like one of the greatest communities for NFTs. Everybody's on there. Everybody's talking. Everybody's like shilling their artworks. And that's what you call it in the NFT community. So, um, yeah, it's you have to be active. You can't just like dip in and out and be like, "Hey, I'm selling something," because probably nobody's gonna really care that much, even if you're successful other places. It's all about community. It's all about supporting one another. It's all about conversation. It's all about um, art, most importantly. But there's also still a lot of politics. I think some of the top. I mean, I'm the top selling artist on Super Rare of all time, in top 100 of all time, and I'm the only woman of color. So that's
Wow, that's
that's
amazing.
it's amazing, but it's also an issue, right? So
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of wealthy white men consistently being supported. So there's a lot of conversation to be had about that space, but we're trying. We're doing our best.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
Can you talk about like the I love like seeing the art with like the giraffe and you got like the stuff, the motion going on and the
Thanks.
graphics. Like I don't know, it's like you're like one of the artists where I see and I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like it's so different. Like how did you kind of like come up, I mean, outside of your obviously your love for like animals, like how did you come up with those kind of like concepts, like, and really like bring it to life?
The giraffe, I will be honest, was it wasn't an accident really. It was just something that became consistent with people asking about it and it working really well in my compositions. I mean, I was putting like elephants and wolves and monkeys and like other animals at first, very early on. And then something happened, I think, where um, like a lot of people started signing up for Instagram. So I became a suggested user at the time, like early on, where I was gaining like thousands of followers a day because, Instagram is just becoming like this big thing. And the suggested user list is something that pops up when people sign up for Instagram. It's like, hey, you should follow these people or this person because they're a good example of what you can do with Instagram. So, um, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was becoming not like mainstream, but it was just becoming like, I don't know, I guess like a lot of people were starting to do a lot things that I was doing that felt like unique to me at the time, but then there was more people having the opportunity to do it, and I was kind of like, I need to just do something like specific. And so a giraffe became like a friend to me, and it became like a friend to my community because, like I said, they would ask like, where's the giraffe? And then for me personally, I would almost like feel like I would have to keep up with it because it was so like personified in my art in this way where like, why is this giraffe in this city? Why does it fit so well in the cityscape? Why does it feel like, why does it make us feel something? And so I don't know, I just became obsessed with that feeling, obsessed with the relationship it had with my community, and really liked the uniqueness of it. And so I made it my own, and I still love everything about it. It's really special. Sometimes, like especially with this nifty drop, this NFT drop that I did, um, my boyfriend, he was looking through some of the photos, and he's like, now that I know a lot about what giraffes go through, some of your pics seem a lot more sad than I thought. There was a lot of magic there, and now I'm kind of like, wow, it's kind of messed up, like displacement, displacement of giraffes, and what people are even going through. I mean, giraffes are being displaced because people are being displaced because of climate change or war or politics or whatever. So um, yeah, there's a lot of serious conversation behind it, other than me creating it on a phone or it working really well in cityscapes or it being a friend to the community. It's like so many things that anybody would like to see, and I think that's what art is all about.
Absolutely. I saw your you speak on TED Talks, and it was like it's like you. I watched a few of their a few of their I guess like speakers, but you're like one of my
Hmm.
favorite ones, and it's like just right off the rip, you just say, I dropped out of college, I've been an
Yeah.
addict, I've done this, I've done that. I just loved how like authentic, you were right from the rip, and it's just like just to see somebody that who's gone through just trials and tribulations, and for you to have so much success is really like inspiring. Could you like speak on that?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that TED Talk was terrifying to do. I'm not gonna lie. I think the scariest thing about it was that I really wanted to make sure I was telling my story right, and I was telling something that could, like, I guess, make sense to other people that had, like when they help you produce your talk, they want you to have like an arc and like a takeaway, and like you've got to have something. And that was like my biggest fear, is like, I'm just me, and I've just like fucked up a lot. Like, I don't really know what else to say. And they're like, say that. And I was like, okay. So I went like super ham with that and just like went all in. And I think it was the best thing I could have did. Now, granted, I was so nervous because I had to memorize everything. But I like, looking back, I'm just so glad I did it and took that chance, because it was one of the first times that I was like, even if you like feel so much doubt and fear, like just keep going, like just keep like saying that out loud to people, ask for help. Like, I don't know, it was such a life-changing moment for me, even though um I still haven't watched it. I will not watch it. I don't like watching myself talk.
No,
So I
it's
have
great.
no
You did a
idea what
great
it was
job. No,
like.
You did.
you did a great job. It was amazing for real.
It
No,
was.
Thanks.
you did a fantastic job, and you could see that
Thanks.
you could kind of see that you were like a little bit nervous, but you still did a great job, and you were just like I said, just authentic, and you could tell it was from the heart. It wasn't like rehearsed or anything. I
Thanks.
really enjoy it. I think
Thank you so much.
you and Steve Sweatpants are the two ones that I really watch the most, and then it's just I don't know, it's just inspiring, just really
Steve is
inspiring.
awesome. Steve is me. It's probably too soon to talk about it, but and hopefully it happens. But I'm pretty sure I really want it to happen. But me and Steve are producing a party for NFT NYC in November, and I hit him up and I was like, "Yo, I need you to help me put together something, because when these NFT people come to New York, I need them to see our side. I don't want them to go to like all these events with all these white people." I keep saying this because it's true, but like the other day, this freaking a lot of my friends, like, they posted this picture and it was all white people in the photo, and I'm like, how do y'all not get embarrassed? Like, when you have 100 people at your event, not one person of color, and you know that I'm gonna see a tweet, we're all gonna see a tweet, you're having this in New York, first of all, like, how? It's just like the audacity sometimes. So I don't know, I just really want to, I don't know. I just need to do something with Steve, because Steve is like the culture god, and I know that him and I will hopefully combine our powers to create good. It's
Yeah, he's somebody else that I get inspired by. I actually went
amazing.
to the Street Dreams mag when they had their event at Seaport at opening night
Oh
with
yeah, I was
Mo.
there too.
I wasn't there for too long. I
I
was
wasn't
there like right when
either.
Yeah, I just stopped by with my son. I wanted him just to experience all the artists,
Oh,
all the creators, and because Mo
that's
is like
right.
I got introduced to Steve through Mo. He's like one of my Morgan Stryker. He's like one of my friends. So yeah, it's just pretty dope. And I feel like you need to be around talented people because they push you. They help elevate you. And I get inspired by seeing other artists. So but
Yeah, for sure.
can you talk? Well, I have two questions. Is it really
Okay.
as cold in Chicago as people say it is? And
Mm,
how was it growing up like in Chicago?
okay, so it is cold, yes. It is very cold in Chicago. It could get down to the negatives 10, 20. But it hasn't done that in a little bit, to be honest with you. So, climate change has made things very different. But that's not to say it's not cold. It's definitely still cold. But you know what? I've been colder places.
Yeah.
So I've been to Iceland. That was pretty cold. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess Chicago to me is it's home, but I grew up in the suburbs, about 45 minutes north of Chicago. When my parents divorced and I moved with my dad in like sixth grade, my mom moved to the city and I would visit her on the weekends. Sometimes stay if I had no school or something like that. So that's kind of where my obsession with the city began. Just visiting my mom, hanging out with her, and having the escape from like the suburban life. I hated being in the suburbs. I mean, I worked at the mall, I worked at like the Hello Kitty store, I worked at Forever 21, I worked at Jamba Juice, I worked at Marble Slab. It was like Cold Stone Creamery, and I got like carpal tunnel from the ice cream. Um, I just did a lot of stuff out there that was, I mean, I was young, and I was just like growing up. But I think I had like a lot of visions of who I wanted to be, and it wasn't really staying put in the small town. And granted, Gurney isn't that small. I mean, they've got like Six Flags and stuff, and Gertie Mills and things, and different than certain small towns. But I don't know. Even when moving to New York, I felt like that was the next step for me. And I mean, I'm trying to move to LA too. I don't want to live like in LA, to be honest. I went there like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, it's too dry out here. It's too hot. Maybe by some water. Need some water or something. Because I'm always by water, like in Chicago, like right here in Brooklyn. I'm right by the water. Um, Even like anywhere in Chicago, I've always been by the water. Up north, South Loop, Lincoln Park, close to the water. Um, so LA would be quite a difficult path because you got to drive like 30, 45 minutes to get to the. No, I can't do it. But anyway, so that's just my thought process. It's like I want to explore. I want to be in different places and just see what's up. But I also want to settle at some point. Looking at houses in Chicago, because that's just home. It's like where my heart is. It's a beautiful freaking city. Like New York's great, but it is chaotic. So I miss home.
I feel like it's always difficult figuring out where you want to live and
Mm,
like traveling. I feel like influenced that, but nothing is never like quite like home.
no,
But
no.
I
Yeah,
totally understand where you're coming from with that. Um,
absolutely.
I have another question for you. I saw your TED talk and you talk about being the child of the internet. Can you elaborate on that and like what that means to you?
Yeah, the child of the internet came from me growing up on the internet, like having my failures, my successes, my personality, my artistry, my friendships, my relationships, my I mean, I like think about it all. Like the internet has been my home, my crutch, my support system, my like path of everything I've done from like Zanga to AIM to like MySpace to Facebook to Instagram to, I don't know, Twitter and NFT stuff and designing websites and, you know, all the things. I mean, I think back when I was in middle school, even like when I used to make money in middle school for designing layouts for people. I just felt like the child of the internet spoke to me because I could see every chapter of my life on there. Could visibly see it in my mind as if, like, you know, like sometimes when you watch a movie and someone has like a death scare or something, or their like life flashing before their eyes. Like
Yeah.
when I see my life, it's on the internet.
That's so cool. I got a question for you. Um, Talking about the TED Talk again.
Hmm.
You alluded in the TED Talk to a book, I believe it was called The Power of Now.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate for our viewers so that they could just understand what that book meant to you and how they could probably apply that to their selves?
Yeah, that book came to me at a very crucial time. And I have been using that process of finding that book since then. I found that book in 2016, maybe 2017. And that was just when I was like going cold turkey on not doing any drugs, not going out, not drinking. I cut off a bunch of friends. I started working out. I started eating better, just minding my damn business. And I Googled a book about, I don't know, just a self-help book. Like, what was the first step to like getting mindful and becoming like, um, how could I just become humble and like control my own life? Like I was tired of everybody else making the decisions for me, like for my emotions and my opportunities and like just my activities, like in my experiences. Like I wanted to have more control over that. And so I found the book Power of Now, and the Power of Now was just about presence. I mean, it included every religion, every thing it could possibly include in there. It's not like some kind of, you know, book about like a magical thing or some kind of, you know, specific religion. It's really just a human book about perspective, about time, about past and present and future. And that to me changed so much. Like I was like, are you kidding me? I've been thinking this way for so long, and I haven't had any awareness to even being like, hey, my brain is not really like telling me what to do, but it's just giving me like suggestions. And for the longest, I was listening to my mind, like giving me like directions, like all the time. And I don't know, after that book, after Power of Now, I uh, started looking at a lot more books about everything, every flaw, every imperfection of mine. And I like chase and I thrive with, because then it gives me a book to read. It gives me a class to take. It gives me a question to ask. It gives me, I don't know, a project or a practice. Like I was leaning with perfection at first, but now I'm leaning with imperfection. And I think that that book is really what opened me up to that for sure.
We're gonna play one of our ads right now. Episode is brought to you by Anchor. Podcasting made easy. Easily create your own podcast, then distribute to all major listening apps, all for free. Create and distribute your podcast for free with Anchor, a Spotify company. Record from anywhere, monetize your podcast, unlimited free hosting, one-click distribution. Hey, Elise, can you talk about just your relationship with Adobe and just, like how you became a partner and everything?
Man, yeah. I've been working with Adobe since probably like 2014, maybe. Maybe I think on like various projects, from like mobile projects to video projects to illustration projects to like Adobe Max. I spoke at Adobe Max last year for their virtual event. Hopefully, I get to speak at the live one because it's just so much fun. But yeah, this year I became like a video, uh, like, uh, I don't know what to call it, I suppose, but like it's just one of their faces of their video projects or commercials. And a lot of people have been sending me DMs and screenshots of it on their YouTube, which I am very surprised and honored by, because I didn't start doing video till like 2019, and that was one of the things to me that was like, I don't know. I just felt like I had to do it. I had to start. I had to learn. And I'm very proud that I did and put myself out there, even though people were like, "Who are you posting too many videos of yourself? You changed." Blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I see the future, and you obviously don't. So, so that I don't know. That also was one of like the greatest like gifts. For me was really trusting myself in trying out video, and Adobe has been picking me up for a lot of projects recently, and I'm working on another one coming up once they approve my concept. So very thankful for Adobe. They're like amazing. We have a lot more stuff that we want to do together, and I cannot wait to talk about it, but I have an NDA, so
Your relationships. How important are your relationships in business and everything that you do? Because I know they lead up to the next best thing. So can you just elaborate on, relationships in the business?
yeah, I think relationships are everything, but I think my relationships got a lot better and my business got a lot better when I started taking care of myself and my energy and just the way I speak about things and the way I speak to other people. I guess just having a lot of awareness and mindfulness in the present moment when you're doing things will help a lot with business. I mean, I don't know the secret really. I don't have like a bullet point list, but like I think that kindness goes a long way. I think listening goes a long way, and remembering that there's somebody who has to report to somebody else on the other end goes a long way. Um, my biggest thing is like I always want to make sure that people are proud of hiring me. You know, I want to make sure that when they're sitting in their office or their presentation and they've got to send it to their boss about how much money they paid me and what the project was about, I want to make sure that they feel proud to show that to their boss. And so I will study a lot about a brand. I'll buy books. I'll study their past advertising. I'll study other brand advertising. I do a lot of studying before I actually present a concept to a brand. So I'm doing a lot of homework to make sure that I'm doing my part, but also making sure that I'm speaking my mind. I realizing they asked me for a reason. So it's a 50-50 partnership where, even if, um, I don't know. I got to make sure that I'm being confident in that aspect, because I don't want to half-ass it, and as I have in the past. Like I said, it's been a learning process with all of this. I've failed my way forward more than anything.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw you looking into like getting certified for meditation.
Yeah, yeah,
Meditation. Oh yeah, okay. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah. Of course. I mean, meditation has changed my entire life. It has just, I don't know. It is. I think it's the secret to a lot of people's pain and suffering, and it has been to mine. So uh, I think the one difficult part about that is a lot of the misconceptions that people have about it. And so I would really love to be someone who could show other people that it's not what they may think it is. It's really just about being present with yourself. It's about accepting the moment. It's about just being present with the moment. There's no change. There's no judgment. There's no supposed to be. It is. So that is and can be a difficult thing for some people, but the more you do it and the more you trust in that participation with that time, the more you're going to get out of it. So I'm excited to keep learning, keep being patient with it, and to be somebody who can really show others how much it could help them.
Can you talk about the Urban Jungle app?
Yeah, the Urban Jungle app is it's a partnership between me and my friend Brain Fever Media. And James is the designer and producer at Brain Fever Media. And he and I have known each other for about a decade now. And during 2020, he hit me up and he's like, hey, we should probably collaborate on something. And I was like, we probably should, because I've been using his apps, like Reflect, Circular, Lens Light. I've been using those since the beginning of time, and I've been using them in ways that I don't even think he can fathom that have been used that way. So we've definitely gone back and forth on a lot of concepts and a lot of ideas, and I put together like a whole thing. Of course, when someone gives me a project, I go crazy. Like I don't I don't leave anything behind. I like put everything in like a Google Doc. I like have dates, I have times, I have concepts, pictures, references, all types of stuff. So I put together like the designs for the app. I put together all the concepts, all the like the social content, everything. Like, and James was like, this sounds great. So he designed the app, and I designed all like the assets, or a majority of the assets that are within the app that you can kind of place in photos. And then we just like started doing promotion for it, and it went into the app store, and so now people use it, and it's kind of nuts that I have an app. And it was a difficult thing to do because I knew that I would be stepping on some toes, especially because I work with Adobe so much, and that um, I do hashtag ads. I can be a sponsored artist for certain applications. And so having an app of my own complicates things a little bit. But I think I'm glad that I took that step to just try and experience it and see what happens. And hopefully maybe someone will buy the app from me.
Okay.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You guys got any more questions?
um,
Um,
Go ahead, T.
I was gonna say, because like I said, I was watching your TED Talk and on your Instagram. I saw that you have your own podcast,
Dude.
Swopes. So dope. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
How's that experience?
It's I started my podcast in 2018, and at first oh my gosh, I was so nervous when I did my first episode. I had like a 2 glasses of wine like the whole time. I was just like sipping it, and I had to like loosen up because I was just like, oh my god, people are gonna listen to me talk. And then by like the 5th episode, I didn't have any wine. I was just talking like whatever. But then eventually I started like studying for my podcast, because every podcast I would talk about 3 different topics, and the 3 different topics would be anything from like mental health stuff to emailing to social media concepts, or like how to balance work with family, or like any kind of stuff, like whatever, just like all types of things that I would need to study, but also I would know about, or could like interview someone about. So that to me, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, like education to me is like the most important thing. And I just wanted people to gain something from listening to me, and I always do. And I guess that's why my nerves were so shot at first. And that's why my nerves are always shot, like even with my TED Talk or with anything I do. I just want to make sure that people are being helped. So that was the main purpose of the podcast, was to help people, to give them some information that may assist them with any issues when it comes to being a child of the internet, or being in real life, or being an artist, or being in business. Um, but I put it on pause last month, or maybe the month before that, because I'm officially going back to school next month, and I reapplied to the school that I dropped out of. Now, this is the thing that happened. So I dropped out of college in 2016. That was the second time I dropped out. The first time I dropped out in 2008, and then I dropped out for 4 years, and then I went back in like 2000 something, 4 years after 2008, whatever, do the math. I don't know how to do it right now. But that's when I went back, and then I stopped again in 2016. And then when I stopped, I was going through like a lot of life changes, like what I was talking about in my TED Talk, like a lot of drug issues and just a lot of personal issues. And so when I dropped out, I was like, I don't need school. I'm never going back. I had like 2 semesters left or something like that. But what happened is, in the last like 2 years, I found out that Columbia had this thing called life credit. And the fact that I kind of had, I don't know, just kind of got my life together and my mind straight, I decided to apply for this life credit thing. It took me a year to put the application together, and the application included like all the projects I've done, all the things that I've accomplished outside of school since 2016, and it's been quite a lot of stuff. So I worked with some of the admissions people. I worked with the board of directors. I worked with the president of the school, and they awarded me the top allowance of credits. And the board director even said that they wanted to use my application as a example to future students. So that to me was like kind of nuts, thinking back of the 2016 me, who was just struggling and really didn't know what was ahead of myself, but I just knew that I had to try. And if that's not like inspiration, I don't know what is. So I'm just going to keep going, keep trying, keep seeing what's possible. And now I have like 2 semesters left, and then I'm done. And I only have to take 2 classes each semester. And then,
So
yeah, so I'm about to be finished.
that's dope.
Thanks.
That's inspiring. It's awesome that you were able to, take a pivotal moment in your life that just seemed like kind of crazy, and you're all it's all coming together. It's like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's retracting, and everything's getting back to where it probably should have been in the first place. But I think that's the ultimate cool thing about life, is that it's like no time on when we can find our ultimate selves. When it's time, it's time.
Oh,
We
for sure.
go through different trials and tribulations to be the people that we are. With that being said, can you mention your five or your top five inspirations that you have? They could be collective, artists, musicians, anybody. Just your top five inspirations that you have.
Ooh, this is a tough one because I am very particular about people, and only because these days I only really feel extremely confident mentioning somebody if I know them like inside and out. So I would have to say one of my greatest inspirations would have to be my mama, my daddy, my brother, my stepmom, and that's probably five. I think maybe I didn't say it, but my boyfriend, Trash Hand, who is one of the best photographers in the world of all existence. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Shot everybody, does everything, but he has been my backbone, my support system for the last decade, 10 years, through my ups, my downs, my everything. I mean, we moved to New York together. We got 3 cats. That's my dog. So those are my people right there.
That's dope. That's probably one of the realest answers we ever got on.
I'm so glad.
Like that one.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Um, at this time, we usually have like a quote of the week for each episode. This week's quote is creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things a different way.
So,
but
It's true. It's
I,
true.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out to be on our podcast, and I know a lot of people are probably learn a lot about you and from you, and just much success to you.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm inspired by you. Every time I see your work, every time I see your art, just keep doing what you're doing. So you're definitely making an impact on others. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. It's been really great, great questions, great conversation. I appreciate you asking them because I feel like every time I have a conversation with other creatives or with other people, especially, I just feel like I'm having therapy. So thanks for thanks for getting all that out of me.
It's all
Thank you.
good.
thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
No
All right.
doubt.
Much success.
Much success. Peace.
Peace.